Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Dave Gutara, and today we're going to be learning how to. I'm going to be teaching you guys. We're going to be learning how to fix in images into text. Yes, and we're going to also be creating a 3D effect out of it as a plus. Yep, and we're going to be using this project as our work project. I already have my projects open. I already have items, elements for my project open. I already have this ball wallpaper um, that I downloaded. I already have this player, soccer player, and I already selected the player. I already have the ball we're going to be using for the project. And in my later videos, I'll be discussing how to remove an image from the background. So first of all, we're going to write our text. We're going to write our text. Um, and the image size is 1000 by 600, 1000 in width and 600 in height, and the resolution of 300. All right. So first off, we're going to be making sure our text is black. We're going to be first making sure our text is black, and then you click on the text tool, and write the text ball, BAL. As simple as that. We're going to be keeping it as simple as that. And after doing that, well, first off, you can see that the text is Avengers Mightiest Avenger. That's a free text on 101fonts.com. That's where I download most of my text. Shout out to them. Okay. Having written the text, we'll go in to our ball wallpaper, and you want to select all. In case yours is not selected already, you want to click on the select above. Yours will be like this, not selected. You want to click on select all. You go to edit and you click copy. And then on our work project, you go to select and you click on load selection, new selection, and it loads the ball. Then you go to edit, you go to paste special. On paste special, we have several options. We have paste in place, paste into, and paste outside. But for this project, we're going to be using the paste into. And when you do that, voila, our image is pasted into the ball. But if you notice, it's not exactly how we want it. So we're going to go ahead and scale this down by clicking the corners of the transform, box. All right. So we're going to scale it down. You scale it. You can actually do it till you're satisfied. But for me, I would like the ball, the field, and the sky to be in the picture all together. Excuse me. All together, all of them all together. All right. This looks good. This looks fine with me. Now, having done that, you click away your show transform controls. You can see that we are getting close to our destination. And next up, what you want to do is we are going to our next element, which is the player. You click on edit, copy. Remember, it's already selected. And then you paste. We already have our ball layer selected, but we can see that it's too small. So what I'm trying to do here is I want to make it big enough to fit into our player, because the player image is much more bigger than what we have here. It's much more bigger than our project. So what I did here is to create a new layer over our mask layer. Create a new layer. Do that by clicking the plus button to create a new layer down the layer palette, and then you click on your control shift click to merge both layers, and then yeah, it's now merged, and then you can scale it out. scale it out. I want to make sure it's visible enough in respect to our document. And you put in mind I'm going to be introducing the player element into it too. So everything has to tally. All right. So edit, copy, go to our project. You can decide to click on the show transform controls or click on it, whichever ways. But we'll go back to our project and we click on it. We click on the ball layer, edit and paste. All right. But we can see that our player is facing the wrong direction. We don't want him in that direction. What we do is we go to image, edit rather, not image. We'll go to edit and you click on transform and you flip horizontal. Yeah, when you click on flip horizontal, it's going to put him in the right direction. All right, now we're going to scale him down to look like what we want him to look like because of course it looks very much more bigger. We're going to scale him down and keep in mind we want to put him in a position where it would look like the leg down is inside the text. The leg down is inside the text. So you can always put him in a position that works for you. A position that works for you. All right. So next up, after putting him in a position that works, this works for me. You're going to want to rotate it a little bit. Slightly. All right. And then you see that it puts him in a more kinetic position right now. Puts him in a more kinetic position right now. And next up, you want to load your ball selection. You take your layer to the ball layer, the layer containing the ball where we pasted the image, and then you load selection. And then after loading selection, it's going to load just the ball. It's going to load the ball. And then you go to select inverse. And you go there, go to your eraser tool. You're gonna want to make sure your eraser tool is hard enough. You set the hardness to 100% and the size to 66. For this one, I'm working with 66 and I'm bringing it down to 51 here. So now because I selected inverse, it's going to erase everything outside the ball selection. You get it? Select inverse as the name implies. It's going to erase everything outside the ball selection. Now you want to put your layer, you want to select the player because that is what you are erasing. That's what we are erasing. So you select the player and you draw over the letters. Whatever is outside you don't want. All right, is leg 2. Voila. And so you see that this already gives an illusion, sort of. You deselect. See that this already gives an illusion that he's inside the text. He's popping out of the text, if you will. If you will describe it as that. It's popping outside of the text. All right. So next up, we're going to be adding to our ball layer, we're going to be adding an inner shadow. And this is just to give it some sort of shadow effect. To do this, you double click on the ball layer to bring up your blending options. You can either double click or you right click and you select blending options to bring up your blending options, and we'll go to inner shadow. You see that, that brings a sort of 3D effect. That brings a sort of 3D effect to the ball. It makes it look like there is something inside, like there's a whole new world inside. So you can adjust the opacity, distance, the choke, and the size to your taste. For this one, my opacity is 61, my distance is 29, my choke is 14, and my size is 29. Angle is at 90 for now. All right, I'm good with that. So you can actually go with whatever works with your own eyes. All right, so I'm good with that. Next up, next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing the background color. We're going to be introducing the background color. For that, you click on the paint brush. You click on the paint bucket tool, not paintbrush. After you create a new layer under the ball, you click on the paint bucket tool. Notice how the background is under everything, behind everything. So we click on the paint bucket tool, go to our foreground color, make sure that it's selected to the color we want. If it's not, you click on the foreground color and you select it. I'm going to be going with green because I like to use colors that work with whatever design I'm going for. So I'm going to be going with the dark green, the dark version of the green. All right. And once we have that selected, let me make it a little bit darker. Darker. Once we have that selected, all you need to do is to dab on it, and voila, you have that. Don't worry, we're going to make it more visible. We're going to make it more visible. Let me make it darker. Yeah. All right. Now, having done that, we're going to be importing our soccer ball. I already have it selected. What I'm doing is I'm dragging it onto our project file and I'm raising it up to the top layer. All right, scaling it down to make sure that it fits into our project, fits into the dimensions of what we are working with. All right. And what I did was I went to that one and I dragged it over here. So that one was already selected. All right. So we're going to have to position the ball in a place where it looks like the player is actually kicking it. So I'm going to drag it slightly away from his leg. Slightly away from his leg. Okay. Cool. And now I'm gonna add you want to add some kinetic speed effect, motion effect to the ball. So what we are going to do now, or before that, I want to stroke the letter. So you click on blending options again and make sure your stroking color is white. Make sure your stroking color is white. For this, I'm using size uh, size 6. Or let's bring it down to 4. 4 works. All right. You also want to have you also want to add a shadow effect to the ball layer. Of course, double click to bring up the blending options. Click on the drop shadow and you have your shadow effect. Once again, play around with it. Make sure that it fits into your own eyes. For this, my opacity is 56, my distance is 30, spread 26, size 24, and my angle is 114. 114. Okay, I'm good with this. So you see how it differentiates our element from the background just by adding the stroke and the background. All right, so to add some kinetic effect to the ball, I'm going to duplicate the ball. You do that by right clicking, go to duplicate layer, click on it. It's going to duplicate the ball layer. We have another ball down. Next up, you click on the former layer and you go to filter. Click on filter at the top bar, and you click on blur and you go to motion blur. What that does is that it's going to add a kind of motion effect to our ball. And for this, my I'll be going with 239. Once again, go with whatever favors you. All right. So this looks good already, but I want to make it look like the ball is actually coming from the player's leg. I don't want it to just be, you know, dwindling like that. So what I'm going to do is on the blood layer, on the motion blur layer, you click on show transform controls, and then you click on the corner boxes and you go to perspective. That's one of the ways to make this look good. Like you can see, we have on that option we have our scale, rotate, scale, distort, perspective. So you click on the perspective and you bring this one down, the left corner, you bring it down, just that corner, and next up you rotate. Click on rotate, rotate it, voila. And you see how it's showing that the motion is actually coming from the player. If you are fine with this, we're good to go. Next up, we do not want that extra effect on the front of our ball. So we go to our eraser tool, reduce the hardness, or leave the hardness like that, whichever one works for you. For me, my hardness is 100%. So you want to erase that in front to make sure that the motion is only from that direction from the player's leg. All right. So having done that, next up, next thing we're going to be working with is we're going to be introducing a sort of light source in the background. But before that, before we introduce the light source, I'll want to give the entire everything we have edited. I'm going to give it some kinetic effect. What you do is you click on the layer, the last layer down, and then you go to the layer on top and you click on Control Shift left click, Control Shift left click. That's going to select all the layers. That's going to select all the layers. Control Shift click or left click, and then you go to your move tool and you show transform controls. We're just going to rotate this a little bit of rotation here. Rotate. You click on the the the, the points on the corner. You rotate it and we're centralizing it. All of this is done with our move tool and our transform. And I'm trying to skew it here, but that's not working. So I'm good with this position. Next up is going to be the light source. Once you have centralized everything, next up will be the light source. So you could do that by going down to the last layer, and that's our background layer, layer containing background color. Then you click on your color palette, and I'm going for a lighter version of the green, a lighter green, kind of yellowish green. All right, so you choose the color you want. When you have it on your foreground color, then you go down to the layer panel and you click on create a new adjustment layer. Create new fill or adjustment layer. And when you click on that, you go straight to gradient. All right. When you click on gradient, it's going to pop this up. This is called a linear gradient. This is like the default first gradient that Photoshop shows you as a suggestion. If you're good with this, you can go with this. But if you're not, you can adjust it. The reason why they call it linear gradient is because it's on a straight line. And you can see we have linear gradients, we have radial gradients, we have angular gradient, reflected gradient, and diamond gradient. For this project, we're going to be working with the radial gradient because we want it to be like some sort of light source. So this is what a radial gradient looks like. So you're going to draw over it. You're going to hover on it and draw it to where the ball is, and work on the angles. I'm going to reduce the angle to 78.49. This works for me. Something else might work for you. Make sure your align with layer is clicked. All right, if that's good to go, we click OK. And guys, We already have our magic here. I hope you guys learned something from this today. I hope you learned how to fix in images into text and create a popping effect, if you will. And if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment box. See you in the next video. Bye bye.